Barnett. Barnett, who murdered 5 people in a gruesome attack, would have to spend close to 62 years behind bars before he's eligible for parole.
Now, residents and family members from Cocopi's Clarendon, where the gruesome killings happened, have been reacting. Their take in just a moment. But first, Raquel Porter was in court and filed this report.
Justice Leighton Pusey struggled to find adjectives to describe the gruesome murder of Kenesha Wright and her 4 children in Cocopi's Clarendon. The confessed murderer, Roshane Barnett, will have to spend 61 years and 8 months behind bars before he's eligible for parole. Pointing to some of the aggravating factors, Justice Pusey described the June 21 attack as direct viciousness.
The attack was contemplated ahead of time, that the accused told someone that he was going to kill some people. And also in his caution statement, he indicated that he came to the conclusion that Miss Wright was looking at him away, and so therefore he acted. Fifthly, his lack of remorse was commented on both by the psychiatrist and the social worker who interviewed him. In the social inquiry report, his claim to disbelief upon contemplation of this behavior flies in the face of his generally nonchalant disposition while being interviewed, as well as his expressed frustration in being, quote, tired of the questions. All told, his mannerism was not indicative of one who possessed a full appreciation of the magnitude of his act and the devastation caused, and does not appear to be remorseful concerning the same.
Noting the mitigating factors in the case, Justice Pusey said the circumstances do not call for Barnett to be given a discount in sentencing despite his early guilty plea.
There was ample compelling evidence pointed to the accused. He was a person of interest almost immediately after the bodies were found. Clothing and a knife were discarded near the scene, and even before forensic tests could link him to the event, he was, as I say, a person of interest, and he was the one who had been living with that family. Secondly, the brutal nature of the offense means that any discount would bring a sentence that this court would give below what I would think would be a fair and appropriate sentence. And in those circumstances, I would not give a discount. And finally, the third reason is that the fact that the death penalty is no longer being considered is a significant benefit for this accused.
Justice Pusey emphasized that he made a concerted effort not to mention the name of the convict, as it is important to remember Kenesha Wright as an ambitious and generous woman.
These persons, Ms. Wright in particular, from the victim impact statement and other things, was significant as a woman, a young woman, who was looking after her 4 children and also studying and finding time to run a shop at the time. These 3 children, Commander, Charlie, and Rafaela, would have been in school and had their own hopes and dreams. The information from their father indicate that the possibility was being looked into for them joining him overseas in other places.
And it's the day everyone has been waiting anxiously for. Since the day Roshane Barnett confessed to the gruesome crime, the family of 31-year-old Kenesha Wright and her 4 children can now breathe a sigh of relief. However, there are mixed reactions among family members. Gwendolyn McKnight, who is the mother and grandmother of the deceased, believes the convict got the sentencing he deserves.
My daughter taking me, feeding, clothing was so good to him, and this is the treatment that he gave my daughter. So he has to pay for it. He has to pay for it. So he learned by his mistake now. Yeah. When somebody's good to you, don't try to stop them in the back.
Right now she get that she's 200. Although it's 25 is like 125. The piece satisfied, more than 125 can bring back life still.
But 61 years and 8 months, he's 23 years old. He won't be out until he's 84 years old. We can live with that.
An emotional moment as news of Thursday's sentencing spread. For members of the deceased victim's family, the healing process now begins. Outside the courthouse, a large banner bearing the images of Kenesha Wright and her 4 children. Memories the family are now left with.
I just want to thank everyone for everything he has done for me and my family. And God blessings and mercy continue to guide me and protect me along life's journey.
During last month's sentencing hearing, Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn sought to have Barnett remain behind bars for a minimum of 60 years before being eligible for parole. Fast forward to Thursday, Mrs. Llewellyn says her office is pleased with the outcome.
I believe the judge was spot on in how he dealt with it. He properly considered the aggravating factors, the mitigating factors. I thought that was the correct starting point according to law. And he answered the call of history when he recognized, as we did, that there was no legal precedent for a case of this nature. And especially at a time in Jamaica where you have several multiple murders being committed at the same time in the same space in Jamaica land being love. It is a great call by the judiciary.
Meanwhile, family friend Claude Sinclair is calling on the courts to revisit its stance on the death penalty.
We know it cannot bring back life, but we hope that it will act as a deterrent. Because 1,200 murders since the beginning of the year is a whole lot of people lying there dead. We need something to be done to stem the crime and the violence that is happening in Jamaica.
Reporting from the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston, I'm Sandy Williams for TVJ News.
Now, members of the Cocoa Peace community in Clarendon also reacted to Thursday's decision, and they were displeased for the most part. Our reporter Dwayne Anderson was in the community, and he filed this report.
A handful of Cocoa Peace residents who gathered at this grocery shop in the community did their chores while they listened as the presiding judge handed down the sentence on Rashid Barnett.
I'm going to just refer in part into the Jamaica sentencing guidelines, which are important for us to note at this time.
The people were not satisfied with the 61 years, 8-month sentence.
61 years yet. Right now, could I say they couldn't give me 100 years? I just did make him peel out yesterday.
And you heard today that he got 61 years.
Only 61?
The thought that Barnett could be a free man, albeit an old man in the very distant future, doesn't sit well with them.
Or 250 years. He shouldn't be seen no more light again. Yes. Yes, well, because he's pretty young. Yes, he's 23 years. When you add that, he's just 18. So it might come back.
Sister follow me. And right now, I'm disappointed. I'm not like the youth there, my cousin. But I need to look for that for him. I look for him as a youth where I protect them and something. Right now, I'm disappointed. I'm not like, right now, here when get, right now, I'm not pleased I see him with. But that amount of me is saying it. I'm still not pleased at that. A few more years when this in there again. Who tells way more do again? No one don't know way more. They just wait enough for the rest. Enough fear. That's no fear to me.
This is where Kamisha Wright and her 4 children lived up to the time of their deaths. Now for relatives and friends here in Cocoa Peace, the 61 years Rashid Barnett will spend behind bars before he is eligible for parole is simply not sufficient. And for that reason, that chapter is not sufficiently closed.
But right now, I come like something I feel good. Right now, I come like, I still, come like a dream, my dream. Like, you know, one that's might pinch me right now for when I wake up. This come like show me how much.
Months on after the grisly killings, pictures of the victims and pieces of black cloth still hang in parts of the community, serving as constant reminders of the ordeal. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
And we're now joined by our legal analyst, Dion Jackson Miller. Dion, are we surprised by the sentencing?
No, because, well, let's step back a little bit and look at how it is the judge works through the sentencing process to say why it is I'm not surprised. So for instance, when if we could bring up the first slide, when we talk about sentencing general, it's complex, and in a case like this, a very difficult situation. The judge has a lot that they're going to be bearing in mind. Now, the classical principles of sentencing are what are called retribution, because yes, you do want to punish the person involved. Deterrence and prevention, you want to send a message, hey, if you commit crimes, you are going to go to jail, this is going to be your sentence, as well as rehabilitation, and I would add to all of those protection of society.